Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so new circuit. The fan will probably kick in anytime now because that makes my little. That computer is about 10 years old now. It's a fourth generation i7. It served me really well, but it's not a new computer. It shows. Okay. Fan's still not on. Okay. Okay. Do you guys see that? Yes, you do. Okay. Okay, so what are we building? So how about we look at any kind of. Okay, can we recreate our list of sensors? So how about you guys on your own Tinkercad? How about we pull all the sensors that we can? Okay, so one at a time. Tell me a sensor, and it's a. Well, okay, let's not share the screens yet on your part. I'll ask you to share soon, though. Can you guys tell me some sensors? I'd like to organize them in dumber to the most complex to use, basically. So sensors. Team on sensors, you should have a couple of things to say.
The photoresistor?
Okay, that's one. So let's pick that one. Photoresistor. Okay, keep them coming.
The ultrasonic distance sensor?
Yep. Well, see, there's two here that I have already. So how about I pull them just because I have them? So a photodiode and an ambient light sensor.
What does a photodiode do?
Okay, so a photodiode, this is literally what's inside solar panels. But it's an array of those. So in a solar panel, you got a ton of diodes, but they're set up in such a way that it becomes a huge array. So, but this is a single one, right? So you can buy that stuff for. So each of them, I did play around with that. I think it was before Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. Because I was wondering, because I listen, I've never taken all of those parts like outside, like in a real project, and tried to find the differences between them. I've never done that, and played with these photodiodes. I've never played with like in real life, and so I was curious about their properties, right? So there's a page on the blog explaining more in details the differences. But for us, just the photoresistor will be plenty. But just the photoresistor to use well, like it will take a good chunk of time. Like just for a single sensor, like this is where electrical engineering kicks in. Okay, like it's not just you take that and dunk it in and then you're good to go. Right? It's much more. I mean, technically, I guess you could, but it's not going to work. Actually, no, that wouldn't work well, actually. So, no. So, right? So, you need to massage the signal, okay? So, we'll get into this soon. So, this is the reason why I'm recording this, because, like, this, I mean, it's not going to look very advanced, but it's actually more advanced than it might seem, okay? And I'm trying stuff here, okay? So I'm not sure how far we'll go, and I will definitely keep it grade 11. Don't worry. Okay. More sensor. What was the other sensor I heard? Okay. So is a push button a sensor? Guys, I'm not looking at the chat. You need to talk.
Yeah.
It is one. Okay. Is a slide switch a sensor?
Yeah.
It is. So that's okay. So you're taking them out, guys. Okay. What else we got?
temperature
Yes.
sensor?
Yes. So there's a temperature sensor. So it's a chip. It's the shape of a transistor, right? So if you hover over the pins, you can see what they do. So you power it on the left pin, you ground it on the right, and then the middle pin is your out voltage. Okay? More.
The ultrasonic
Right. Ultrasonic.
distance sensor.
Yeah, so this guy. Okay? Let's put it here, okay? What more?
IR sensor.
Mm-hmm. Infrared. So there's this guy. Where are those people? Where are those? IR sensor in real life around you, like in your room right now. You probably have. There's
Like the TVs and stuff.
Yes, exactly. Because those pick up the signal from this. Right? So this stuff, if you look at all your remote, do you have a remote by you right now? Just take it out and look at it from the tip end here, and you'll see there's a little bulb, right? It's an LED. Okay, so it's a diode. Okay, but it's a diode that when you push on whatever button, the color of the light is outside of our eyesight. So our eyes can't pick it up. It's outside of visible light, right? And so, Pranav, if you remember your grade 10 science with me, right? It's infrared, right? So it's underneath, basically. So infrared, guys, is actually what heat is. Right? Like when you put your hand around a campfire in the summer, or just like your gas fireplace at your place, and say you turn off the gas, right? The thing is still hot, right? Like if you put your hand just close to it, this is infrared. This is light. The heat that you feel from your toaster when it's turned off after the toast is done, if you feel the heat, that's actually not if it's the hot air. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like if you're sideways beside it, right, with your hand, like on coals, right? If your coals are red, on your stove, right? If the element is red, turn it off, and then you can still feel some heat. That's infrared. It's light. Okay, so I just like mentioning all of these because you guys don't get to hear that stuff, in my opinion. Okay, don't get to hear that enough. Okay, so this guy is to pick up the signal from that remote control. Okay, so would your remote control work if you put your hand in front of the remote control? If I put my hand here, I'm not sure if you see my mouse here, right? So if that's my hand here, right? Picture that's my hand, right? So will the remote control be able to send any signal to the sensor on the other side? I don't see the chat, guys. You need to talk.
It can't. No.
It can't because it's light. It's just not visible light. So that's the crazy thing. Light, it's not even most, it's almost all. For the tiny segment that we see, most of light is invisible. That's just the physics. Now that's unbelievable. That's not right. Like, because if I say to you light, you see in your head, you go like, well, sunlight, like seeing something, a light bulb on, so whatever. But that's where the confusion comes from, is because we say light being visible. But light is, it's not even most, it's almost all of it. It's only the little segment that we see is visible. All the rest is invisible. So around you right now, there's tons of light signals, but you just can't see them. You could measure them if you had sensors like an infrared, right? So there's infrared hitting you from your screen, right? Because your screen, your monitor gives some heat. Your body gives off some heat, right? So if you're like Predator, right? Those of you that have seen that old movie, right? The guy can see in infrared, right? It's just just ridiculous. But anyway, it was a good movie. Okay, so enough about that. All right, so that's gone. I don't need that. So we're missing the PIR. That's an interesting one here. Okay. Okay, more? I think it's about that, right? Like, there's not that much more. Oh, there's the bending one. Here. So that's a flex sensor. So this here, you could put on a robotic arm, for example, and at a joint, right? And as the joint is turning, you could keep track of how much it's spun, that it's rotated, by using this. And that's a resistance. So this, you read the resistance value coming out, and it changes depending on how it's flexed. Really cool stuff. Oh, and we got right. And then there's gas sensors, right? Most new water heater tanks have them, right? Mine does. Actually, I have to actually trick my water heater. I bypassed it. I know it's not super safe, but like it kept going faulty, right? So I replaced it twice. Like these guys from company, like it was like $50 a pop. I'm like, I'm done. Like once the second one stopped working well, I'm like, I'm done with you. I just put a resistor, right? So I went online. So these guys, they give off a resistance value, right? When it's reading a safe, no gas presence, basically. And then I just bypassed it and I put a resistor. I put something like this instead of this. So it's not sensing gas, but at least it's not giving me false alarm, and because otherwise it's not working. Anyway, you don't have to agree. I'm not saying it's but this is the kind of stuff you can do, right? When you can play with that stuff, right? Okay. As long as you're careful. I'm not saying to be dumb. I would personally put a pot as being a sensor, because think about your amps at your house, the radio dials on older, well, it was not a pot, but it's the same idea. It spun a capacitor, a variable capacitor. But anyway, right? So these are quite common out there, right? So we'll take that as a sensor as well. Okay, so how about I save that here? Well, sensors. Okay, I'll save that. I'll stop my video, and then I'll restart a new one, okay? Okay, so give me 1 sec here.